Hello dear students, I am Sheetal Devi Punia and today I am going to explain Civics chapter 2, Understanding Secularism. This is from class 8th. So first of all, here I want to tell you the meaning of being secular. Secular means that you are not discriminating anybody on grounds of religion. You are not dominating others on grounds of religion. So if you are like that, you are a secular person. So here in this chapter we are going to discuss the concept of secularism. In the very beginning of this chapter, basically one imaginary situation is given so that you will be able to understand secularism more properly. So the situation is like that: you are either a Hindu or Muslim and you have gone to America. There you want to take a house on rent and nobody is ready to give their house on rent to you because you are not a Christian. So then you go to court, and suppose court also says that I can't do anything, you simply go back to your own country and live there. So what can you do in such a situation? First reaction of simple human being will be that you will start thinking that same treatment should be given to them when they come to my country, when they come to any other country which has majority of people belonging to different religion. But another reaction can be there, that you may start fighting against discrimination. You may start planning that nobody on this planet earth should be discriminated because of the religion. Here discrimination means some kind of partiality. In Hindi you call it bhed bhav. Okay. So this assumption rests on the fact that nobody wants to be mistreated on grounds of religion. And that is only the essence of secularism. That is only the summary of secularism. History provides many examples when people were excluded and persecuted in the name of religion. Here persecution means killing them. People were killed in past. So one such example was there in Germany. It's a European country. When it was ruled by Hitler. Hitler was a despotic person, despotic leader. Despotic means Tanasha, who would not listen to anybody. So Hitler had persecuted, Hitler had killed many Jews. Hitler was a Nazi and he didn't like Jews. So millions of Jews were killed. He simply gave orders that Jews should be killed and excluded. So that was done, which is one example of religious discrimination. Now here currently Israel is a Jewish state, but it treats Muslims and Christians very badly because they are simply Muslim and Christian. So this is also example of religious inequality. Here something about Saudi Arabia also is mentioned in your book, that in Saudi Arabia only Muslims have been given the freedom of religion. They can only do their things openly, they can practice their religion openly. But if you don't belong to Islam religion, then you cannot build a temple over there, you cannot make any church, you cannot gather in a public place to sing bhajans or anything to talk about the name of the God. So this is also one clear-cut example of religious inequality and religious discrimination. So such kind of acts of discrimination generally take place. Such kind of partiality can be done when when state here means country, when country declares that this is my national religion. National religion or state religion means the one and same thing. So if any country is giving protection to one religion, surely people belonging to other religions will be discriminated against. So clearly no one would be like to get bad treatment because he or she belongs to different religion. So that's why secularism is required. So here in your book further it is mentioned again what is secularism. Secularism refers to the separation of religion from state, means the government of the country. Here the state means the country or the government. It will not get engaged in religious matters. People will be given full freedom to practice their religion. So government will keep itself separate from religion. Indian constitution protects minorities from the tyranny of the majority. Here tyranny means atyachar. In our constitution, such provisions are mentioned that this mistreatment cannot be done by people of one religion against other religion. Our constitution gives freedom to practice or preach any religion. Means whether you belong to Hinduism or Islam or Christianity, you will be always given equal treatment. So now the question arises, why is it important to separate religion from the state? If the government or the country doesn't keep itself away from religion, then there can be so many complications. So this is very important for a country to function democratically. If you want to function democratically, then you have to treat everybody equally. So simply you have to follow secularism. Almost all countries of the world will have more than one religious groups living in them. Within these groups, there can be some people who are very powerful and who are in majority. Then they are likely to have some power in the government also. So if state doesn't keep itself away from religion, then these powerful people will start exploiting the people of other religions. They will not allow some religious freedom to the people belonging to other religions. And they would even try to control all the resources, and this way exploitation may start. So that's why a state always should keep itself away from religious matters. So this tyranny or exploitation of the majority could result in discrimination simply and coercion. Coercion means here is like use of force. Those people who are getting discriminated, they may in future use the force to get their demands fulfilled. Then it means simply they will become like terrorists and there will be no peace and prosperity in the society. So it is better that all people belonging to different religions should be treated equally, so that there will be peace in the country and prosperity as well. The majority could quite easily prevent minorities from practicing their religions. Any form of domination based on religion is in violation of the rights that a democratic society guarantees to each and every citizen irrespective of their religion. Therefore, the tyranny of the majority and the violation of fundamental rights that can result in one reason why it is important to separate the state and religion in democratic societies. In short, its meaning is same, that if you want that everybody should get equal rights, nobody is getting discriminated, nobody is getting partiality, and everybody is living happily. And if you want that it should be like a democratic society, so state should keep itself away from religious matters and religion. Another reason why state should be away from religion is that we also need to protect the freedom of individuals. Every person has freedom. If you want to live your religion, you can live. You want to adopt other religion, embrace here means adopt. If you want to adopt other religion, that freedom also you should be given. If you want to interpret your religious teachings, that freedom also should be given to you. It's to clear this, I would like to give an example. Suppose you are a Hindu, and Hindu is a dominant group in your country, and you want to remove some of the evil practices from your community itself, like untouchability. Untouchability is a practice under which some people are considered untouchables and they are not treated equally, they are not given equal rights, and you feel that this should not be there in the society. So you start speaking against it, but many people of your community, they may have in favor of untouchability, so they would not allow you to speak against it, they would not allow you to work on your project, they may stop you from interpreting the religion if they have power in the government. So this is also the reason that state should keep itself away from religion. So that was the another reason that state should be separated from religion, so that every person will be able to get freedom to interpret his or her own religion, and everybody will be able to get freedom. If you want to leave your religion, you want to be in your religion, you want to preach something, What is Indian secularism? Okay, let us discuss about this. The Indian constitution mandates that the Indian state should be secular, means Indian state will not do any partiality in the name of religion. According to constitution, only a secular state can fulfill its aims to ensure the following. Okay, what kind of aims there should be there which can be fulfilled by a secular state? That one religious community does not dominate other. If you want to prevent this domination means that you are always in all the matters, it's you keep your hand up and you don't allow others to do anything, so that should not be there. Some members do not dominate others from the same community, like in Hinduism only, some people, some Hindus are dominating other Hindus, so that also should be stopped. The state does not enforce any particular religion nor take away the religious freedom of individuals. So this is also mentioned in Indian secularism, that Indian government will not do anything that will take anybody's religious freedom away from him or her. The Indian state works in many different ways to prevent above kind of domination, to stop any kind of discrimination. First of all, it uses a strategy that I have to distance myself from religion, means state and religion are always away from each other. The Indian state is not ruled by a religious group and nor does it support any one religion, because in elections people of different religions are allowed to stand and fight election, and if they can win they will sit in the parliament and make laws for the country. So there is no such policy that people of one religion only will stand in the elections, all are given equal rights. And another strategy is that Indian government doesn't allow to keep religious places in government offices, like law courts are there, police stations, government schools and offices. They are not allowed to have religious signs. They are not allowed to display special love for any particular religion. In your book, one example is given from a government school where two students are talking to their teacher that we have not celebrated a religious festival in school, so this time we want to celebrate, and they want permission from the teacher. Then teacher tells that no, it cannot be allowed. So they ask why you are not allowing us to celebrate this religious festival. Then teacher says that because government wants to keep itself away from religious matters and it doesn't want to promote any religion, so it has always decided that there will be holidays on religious festivals, so that each and everybody is free to celebrate the religion at his home. So here the teacher explains very nicely why this government holiday is provided on religious festivals. So teacher stops them from celebrating religious festival in school on grounds of secularism, that we have to be secular and we cannot promote any particular religion. Okay, one more way that Indian secularism works. One way is that it keeps itself away from religion. Second, it does not promote any religion. These are two ways. One more here, it is discussed that as per Indian secularism, it works to prevent the above domination, and it is through a strategy of non-interference. Okay, this is also one strategy adopted by Indian government of non-interference. Suppose some people want to practice their religious ceremonies, and in that government will never stop them. They are free to follow their practices. So the government respects the sentiments of all the religious communities, and here one example is given. See, there is a law in India that if you are driving a two-wheeler, then you should wear a helmet. But you can see this person, he is not wearing a helmet. He is a Sikh. And as per Sikh religion, turban is compulsory for them. So here, Indian government has given special freedom to Sikhs that they can drive two-wheeler without helmet. So this special permission is given to them simply because government want that they should be allowed to follow their religious practices without any kind of discrimination. So this way they are given this special freedom. Let's move ahead. The third way in which Indian secularism works to prevent the domination is a strategy of intervention. One was non-intervention. Non-intervention means government will not interfere in religious matters. But in India, secularism, under secularism only, state government, the country's government can interfere in some matters. That depends on the matter. Here are certain examples. In order to prevent this religion-based exclusion and discrimination of lower caste, the Indian constitution bans untouchability. Here we can say that now Indian government has interfered in the religious matters, because as per Hinduism, this is they consider that untouchability is allowed by our religion, but constitution says that all are equal, you cannot discriminate against others. So on these grounds, Indian constitution has banned untouchability, and if somebody is found practicing untouchability, he is treated like a criminal and he is punished by the court. To ensure that laws relating to equal inheritance rights are respected, the state may have to intervene in the religion-based personal laws of the communities. Here, law of inheritance is very important to understand. Inheritance rights means, like as per Hinduism, when father has some property, it will be generally distributed among sons. If he has 2 sons, 3 sons, 4 sons, so that property will be distributed equally among the sons. But now constitution has intervened in this matter, and constitution has now Indian government has made one law that daughters also will get father's property. So this way, here constitution has intervened in the religious practices, that you have to give equal rights to everyone. The intervention of the state can also be in form of support. Government can support certain groups which are weaker. For example, constitution grants the rights to religious communities to set up their own schools and colleges. This right is not given to the majorities, people, those who belong to the religion which is in majority. So in India, this is given to the minorities only. Like all other religions other than Hinduism are considered minority, and they have right to open their schools on the basis of their language and religion, and no one can stop them, so that they will be able to preserve their own culture and religion, etc. The government also gives them financial aid. Financial aid means some money is provided to these institutions on non-preferential basis. Non-preferential basis means without any kind of partiality. Equally, government gives aid to these religious institutions, whether it is related to Christianity or Hinduism is not minority, Christianity or Islam, etc. In what ways is Indian secularism different from that of other democratic countries? Yes, that is right. Indian secularism does not match with the secularism practiced by some other countries. For example, a US government prohibits state from interfering in religion, and religion too can't interfere in the matters of the state. Why this is mentioned here? It is mentioned because in these countries, church once upon a time had so much power. It was more powerful than the government. It was more powerful than the state. It was more powerful than even the kings, when there were kings once upon a time. So church was always dominating each and every aspect of people's life. So now in US, this first US amendment was done. Amendment here means any type of change in constitution is known as amendment. In Indian constitution also has been amended many times, and there are many amendments in this. Okay, one difference is that Indian state can interfere in religion, like abolition of untouchability. See, in other countries, so it is said that religion will not interfere in the government, and government will not interfere in the religion. But in India, government can interfere in religion. in such matters like abolition of untouchability. Indian government, if it finds that somebody is being discriminated against on grounds of religion, then government can interfere and stop that person from doing this kind of injustice. In Indian secularism, though the state is not strictly separate from religion, it does maintain a nice distance from the religion. This means that any interference in religion by the state has to be based on the ideals laid out in constitution. Means if government is interfering in anybody's religious matters, it should be on the basis of the ideals and points mentioned in the constitution. Like constitution says that all are equal, all should get equal opportunity, all should get justice, everybody has right to live. And if religion or religious practices are allowing somebody to torture others, so here government can interfere to stop that person. These ideals serve as the standard through which we can judge whether the state is or is not behaving according to the secular principles. Like if any government is interfering others religion without any kind of solid reason, then we can think that no, this country is not secular. But if state government is interfering in religious matters just to protect the rights of some people, then we can say yes, government is secular, but because government has to protect the weaker people, that's why it is interfering in the religious matters. The Indian state is secular and works in various ways to prevent religious domination. These various ways we have discussed, sometimes by keeping away from religion, sometimes by giving special freedom to some religious communities to practice their religion, etc. The Indian constitution guarantees fundamental rights that are based on these secular principles. And to prevent the violation of these rights, state can interfere any time in religious matters. Means state in India ensures that each and everybody should get equal rights. Here is one example of other country, that how people are not given religious freedom and their individual freedom is curbed in some of the countries. Here is one example. In February 2004, the government of France passed a law and banned that you cannot wear any religious or political signs in public places. For example, Islamic headscarf. This is headscarf. You can see this girl is wearing on head. So they said, government said you cannot wear this kind of signs which clearly tell that you are an Islamic person. Jewish skull cap. This boy is wearing this cap. It is covering only the upper part of skull. So this was also not allowed, or Islamic cap also was not allowed. Or Christians were not allowed to wear the crosses, which is a symbol of Jesus Christ. So as this law was passed, as this order was passed, there was so much of annoyance among the people, and they started thinking that now what can be done, we will not leave our religion, and if our religion says that we have to wear this, we will wear. Basically, who were protesting, who were not happy? Many people from former French colonies, means Algeria, Tunisia and Morocco. These countries were earlier controlled by France, like India was controlled by the Britishers. Similarly, these countries were colonies of France, and from there they had invited many laborers, because there was a shortage of workers in France, and then they had promoted that these people should come. They had given them some allurements, or they had given them some incentives. So they came and they settled in France. So now they are practicing their own religion. But after this order of the government in 2004 that you cannot wear these religious signs, these people, they did not obey the order, and these students in the schools, they were coming with these headscarves and wearing these caps, and wearing the cross also. So these children, they were expelled from the school because they were not following the law. So what do you say? Is this secularism? You can decide about it. This is secularism or not. In India, though, we allow, the government allows Sikh people, because wearing turban is compulsory for them, and even they are given freedom that they cannot drive two-wheelers without wearing a helmet, and there are so many other freedoms also which are given to people belonging to different regions. Here I want to tell you how you can play the activity which I generally give in the description of video. So how to reach that description? When this video is being played before you, then you will find this sign at the right bottom. If you will click this sign, then description box will open in front of you. This is description box. If you click on any of these, then these are activity links. This kind of page will open before you. Then you have to click here on this play. When you click here on play, once more it will ask you to click on play. When you click, then your activity will start. Your activity can be in form of MCQs. Your marks will be shown here, and your activity can be even in form of crossword puzzle, so that also you can play. And if you want to zoom it out, then you can click on this, then these words will become bigger in size. That's all from my side. If you have any doubts, you can write in the comment box. Thank you. Have a good day. May God bless you.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also press the bell icon to get the notifications about my latest videos.